Hey everyone, welcome back to the Old Music Matters That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today, welcome a special guest and another fellow Scot. Got Des Brown. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. And actually, not too long ago, and I don't know if you know this drummer. His name's Kieran Wallace, and actually, he's a fellow Scot too. I guess have you heard about him before?
Nah.
Check him out. He's a real good friend of mine, but he does have a little bit of a disability, so you notice his motory skills don't work as well as they should. But nice kid nonetheless. So.
What type of music does he play?
He plays some metal, but it looks like he mixes around a little bit there too. His most recent one I saw was High on Fire's Burning Down. So
All right, okay.
you can see what he's like. So leave it up to you. Thought we bring some more Scots together. So
Yeah.
hey. I guess how you been recently? What's new?
Well, I'm working on some new stuff now. I'm working on a new video. I tend to put my videos out like a month, 2 months apart. I'm not very quick like some other people who I see uploading all the time. It takes me a while because I'm juggling my family life and my job life and that as well. So it gets done when it gets done. But I'm kind of a wee bit perfectionist about it. So I'll analyse things over and over again before I think about uploading them. So other than that, yeah, doing fine, doing away, working away. Kids and wife are fine. Everything's fine.
You got a true Scottish accent there too. So yeah,
Yeah.
liking it. So actually, there was a friend of mine out of Texas, and his name's Gaz, and he also had the true Scottish accent there too. So a couple of people I have interviewed, they tended to strike me more as like having more of the English style sort of one, but yours is like the true Scottish accent. So
Yeah, that's what I was concerned. I was like, is he going to be able to understand what I'm saying if I'm speaking to him? But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sometimes I talk very fast.
they say mostly when Scots start talking very fast, the only words they understand is when they're cussing. So
Yeah, that's true.
that's how the stereotype goes. So all right.
Yeah, well, it's very fitting actually. It's very true.
Yeah. And actually, I was in Scotland last year. And are you in around the Edinburgh area?
Yeah, I live just outside Edinburgh. I live in a place called Musselburgh, so it's like 10 minutes by train. I work in Edinburgh, so I'm through there every day basically.
Close to the Royal Mile? We can walk down there a good bit.
Actually, very, very close to Royal Mile. There's so Royal Mile, then you've got like the bridges, and then beyond that you've got Nicholson Street. So I'm at Nicholson Street is where I work. So it's like 5 minute walk from Royal Mile and Coburn Street and all that stuff. Yeah.
I have to check my notes again, but we were there, and I could say Edinburgh, beautiful city. Although we did get rained on the one day, so
Yeah. Did you enjoy your stay then?
very much.
Yeah.
I would say the one day when we did get there, we dropped like a sack of potatoes when it was 6:30 in the evening, and then I'm waking up, I'm seeing the sun rising, and they're like, oh, it must be close to 6. No, it's 4:30 in the morning. So
Yeah. That's what's starting to happen now because it's getting close to the time when the clocks are going to change. You were saying that the clocks have changed for you. They're going to change for us soon. But yeah, if you wake up in like 5 o'clock, 4:30, something like that, it's starting to get light now. So it's hard to get back to sleep.
yeah, we can't do the sleep-ins like we used to. So
Nah.
okay. But nonetheless, Des, welcome to my podcast here, mate. And the way it's going to work is, because you guys just some questions, want to get to know the man behind the music. But it looks like you also, outside drumming too, you also do some turntables as well here too. So this ought to be interesting. So
Yeah, I've got a wee. Got it set up ready for you to go.
all right. But you get to play all that here just a little bit here too. But I actually want to start at the beginning here too with, I guess, who are you? And how did you become a musician?
Well, actually, just when I was 13, I was supposed to go to a party, one of my friends' parties. I ended up not going, and that was the day that I discovered Nevermind by Nirvana. So it was at that point I realised, getting to the age 13 years old, I'm going to grow my hair out now. I want a guitar. I want to be able to play all these tracks. Funny, I'd actually tried to go for guitar lessons at school a few years before that, but the teacher said that he wasn't going to teach me at that point in time. He says he didn't think I could be able to do it. So I was kind of like, well, now I'm determined. So I got some books and some tab books because I can't read music, and started to watch videos and stuff about people playing guitar, but I still at this point couldn't understand what I was doing. It was actually one of my friends, Paddy, who but at that time he was already playing Metallica songs, and he knew all these songs and knew all the chords, and he was very good. So he managed to show me some of the, I suppose you would call them bass lines on the guitar, just 2 fingers. Yes, just something that I could play along with. And even that just kind of inspired me to want to learn more about the names of the chords, and then how to actually do the power chords and stuff. And then the interesting thing I found about that was, because I was listening to Nirvana, was that power chords are the shape. You've got these fingers here, minus the middle finger. Yet Kurt Cobain is using these 3 fingers when he's going up and down the guitar. So then I found it easier to do that than to actually learn it properly. So I kind of cut corners when I was playing the guitar. But I did manage to learn to play all these tracks, and then I moved on to other things. I moved on to Metallica, I moved on to like Oasis and stuff like that as I started to become more interested in it. But then we had started a band by this point. I was able to play, and we were able to write some songs. We were able to have a band with my friend Paddy, who taught me how to play guitar. My friend Keith, who was a very good drummer, he was awesome. So we're about 14, 15 at this point, and we're starting to play gigs and stuff, just some of our own songs, and then some covers of stuff that people knew. And not many people came, but it was good fun for us. It was a good experience. But at this time as well, at the same time, I'm starting to really become into like Metallica, and I'm really starting to take notice of Lars Ulrich. And I decided I wanted a drum kit. My mother would never agree for me to have a drum kit. I knew this because we lived in a 2-bedroom flat that was like the size of a shoebox. So there's no way she was going to let me have a drum kit. But I managed to convince her later on down the line to get me my first electronic drum kit, which was good. So that was when I was about 15 years old. Prior to that, I used to sit with my mum's pots and pans on my bed with two wooden spoons, and I would sit and I would have the control, and I would watch the Live Shit Binge and Purge DVD, and I would have the camera angle set to Lars so that I could watch what he was doing, so that I could learn how to move in that way. So self-taught for drums. I suppose I've never sat and had a drum lesson in my life, nothing like that, but definitely just watching that. I think what makes it accessible, because if you were to say who's your biggest drumming influence, I would say Lars Ulrich. I've got loads of drummers that I really look up to. You've got Dave Lombardo, you've got Hellhammer from Mayhem, you've got John Otto, Limp Bizkit, all these guys that I really admire. But Lars Ulrich, I think because the beats in such a way are simple enough, they're accessible to people even learning. And because they're such a big band and the music so like in your face and heavy, it's really motivating actually. Because I know a lot of people would say Lars Ulrich is probably not the best drummer on the planet. Yeah, definitely not. But he's probably the only man for the job in that band, really. Do you know what I mean? His sound to playing is fundamental to how James Hetfield writes songs and plays guitar. So through watching Lars and then figuring out what he was doing, and then watching other drummers and learning things and double bass techniques and stuff like that, then kind of drums became the main focus. It was turntables and samplers and stuff that came a lot later for me.
Yeah, Metallica, they work in some mysterious ways at times. I know. Actually, my story was my dad, he was real big into the classic rock sort of stuff, but he also got into Metallica, which is one of the more 80s sort of groups right there. And he never really got into like more further into the 80s. Like he may have heard like some of the groups like here and there, but he never really dug it, as he maybe did with like Metallica there too. And then it seemed like after the Black album for Metallica, it seemed like people, at least maybe more so the people who grew up listening to like 80s Metallica, where they were like, holy shit, this is amazing right here there too. And it's like, what is this? So then everyone starts doing the stereotypes now where you take like aluminum bat and hit it against a beer keg or something like that to simulate Lars's sound on Saint Anger. So
yeah. Yeah, it was funny you said that, because there was I remember actually when Taylor Hawkins died, there was the concert, and Lars was playing with Brian Johnson, AC/DC. I think there was some other guys there on stage, and at one point I think they played 2 songs, and in between the songs the snare broke, and it was exactly the sound of the St Anger snare, and he was quickly signalling for somebody to come and replace his snare, and I was thinking, well, what's the problem? You recorded an entire album with a snare like that. What's the problem now? You know what I mean?
There's too much lead in that pad, I guess. So
yeah, too many bad memories when he hears that sound.
I guess so. So I guess just real quick, when did you take up turntables? Was this, I don't know if you went to college or university, I guess that's how they say it in Europe, or they went to music school or something?
Yeah, actually, no, I did. So I went to college after I finished high school. I went to college and I did sound production and music. And there was like two. It was like a diploma, but it was like there was 2 first years that were like, this was like 2007. This was like 2 first years, and then you go to the HNC, Higher National Certificate, then the HNDs, you go to the Higher National Diploma. In that time, I think that's where I was more interested in experimenting with different sounds, because you're in a class full of people who are all there for music, and they're all into really different things. So you kind of feed off each other because you're working together with them in studios and with mixing desks and different types of microphones to mic up drum kits and amplifiers and stuff. So it's a really good learning experience, but it really opened my mind musically to a lot of things I maybe would never have considered before, or things that I did like but had never heard that particular thing before, or I've never heard this artist before, or do you know what I mean? So yeah, at college I became more sort of interested in hip hop, and this was at the time. So I was about 13 till I was about 16, 17, I was really into grunge, I was really into metal. And by the time I got to about 17, that's when I started to listen more to hip hop, and I started discovering artists that I knew about but never really listened to, like Wu-Tang or NWA or Dead Prez or House of Pain and all these guys, Cypress Hill. I'd listened to some stuff. My mum had quite a vast music taste. So when I was growing up, I used to hear everything from Black Sabbath to Enya to the Fugees. There was everything was playing, and it was just me and my mum at home. So she done a good job making me aware and giving me a love for music. But it was really by the time I got to my late teens, I'm starting to think more about, well, these things are good. I like drums, I like guitar, but I don't want to be limited to that. Can I learn how to use samplers? How does sampling work? How do you make samples? How do you find samples? How do you record them? That kind of thing became interesting to me, and that's when I started to focus and pay more attention to different types of electronic music at this point. So everything from hip hop to house music to dance music, anything like that was alternative to what I was listening to, that was just done. I had an appreciation for the whole process of how it was done. And I think being in college as well just kind of helps you appreciate that, because you don't know who's going to come in to record what type of music, but you have to make it sound good, and they have to be happy with the product as well. So that was a good, it was a good time, fun days.
Yeah. Actually, I always thought it was the dad that was meant to introduce you to the music there too, because that's how it was with me. My mom wasn't really. She listened to some music, but hers was more the old school taste. Was your dad not really around?
No, I never met him. Never met him. He was a teenager who ran away before I was born. So, not that I've got any regrets about that. Now I've got 2 kids myself. So, yeah, best thing in the world being a dad.
That's good to hear. All right. But I didn't delve into that too much right there. So, all right. So, I guess when I was checking out some of your drum covers, because I know actually you had reached out to me because I think you had commented on one of my covers. It seemed like yours, you really seem to delve into like more. I think it was the Beastie Boys one, and it seems like you do both the combination of the turntable and the drum covers there too. So I guess when did you start doing your YouTube channel? If it was the RunDMKilla, is that what it was?
Yeah, that's right. So I started posting drum videos about 2018, and they were just drum covers, literally, or my interpretation of drum covers. Those videos are still there today. And through that, I then began to think, well, what if I can have the sampler in this one and use different samples in place? So I think the first one where I did that was, it was a video with it was LL Cool J Soul Intent, and it was remixed with Imperial March with Star Wars. And I had the sampler next to me, and I'm playing the drums, and I've got the drumstick in my mouth, and I'm playing the hi-hat, and I'm hitting the sampler at the same time and stuff. That was the first time. But then I did that once, and I never thought much about it again. And then kind of maybe after about a year, then obviously COVID came in 2020. That was an interesting time, because through that, because all the free time, me and my friends were able to make the RunDMKilla 10-part music, video, horror, short thing that we made, that we put on YouTube. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, and then recently I basically resurrected that channel, because I was thinking, I've not played drums for a while, and actually my drums were folded in a cupboard, because for years my kids have been having toys that take up all the space. So finally now they're bigger, they're like 10 and 7, so there's a lot more space. They're more interested in computer games and stuff. So rather than, me having to hide my stuff away for a rainy day, it's fine, I can bring it back out and actually use it again. So yeah, but I wanted to make something a bit different. I wanted to, in that time I've been doing turntablism and different types of sampling, and I wanted to incorporate that more into the video than just playing drums like I was before.
Actually, where'd you get the name RunDMKilla?
Well, it's because I like Run DMC, and also because I like horror movies, and it was designed to be part horror, part music video in 10 parts. So that's how I came up with the name for that, because you've got a killer, and then it was Run DMC was the sort of. Well, I was thinking more of Jam Master Jay, because he was like one of my DJ idols, and that image with the big gold dookie chains and the hoodies and all that stuff, like, it's just all that. So that's kind of where all that influence came from. So I thought I couldn't think of anything else, but I was like, I like it, so it stays.
Fair enough. As you did ask, what happened to your 1 tooth right there? I wasn't sure if that was meant to be a grill or whether that was a legit dental implant.
Yeah, so 2017, I slipped on ice and knocked my tooth out. I have some nice pictures of that if you want to see later. There's also a picture of me in the dentist chair with my phone like this, taking a selfie when my tooth is like missing. Yeah, and then it could either go porcelain or go private. I went private.
Jeez. I was going to say, man, that must have been some ice you had right there too. How bad do winters actually get in Scotland?
Well, my wife's actually from Poland, so these are not that bad apparently. But for us, yeah, quite bad. Mainly just ice. I mean, but to be fair, because it's Scotland, most of the time it just rains. So it doesn't matter if it's summer, doesn't matter if it's winter, doesn't matter what time of year it is. It's usually raining. And if it's no raining, it's the one day where the sun's out. That's the day we call summer. Yeah. So. That's the running joke around here. You remember summer last year? Yeah, it was a Tuesday. That's kind of how it is here. The winters, nah. We had a bad winter about what was that, about 6-7 years ago now. We had the Beast from the East. Did you hear about that in the States? The Beast from the East, big snowstorm that came in.
It might have been one of those polar vortexes, as they would call it. So I'm pretty sure I did, but I wasn't sure if it was one of those Arctic ones that just came down and just blew over and turned us into like a Star Wars version of Hoth in that case. So
yeah, that was the only time I've ever seen the snow like piling up for meters, and actually places were closed. We couldn't go to work. It was great. Stayed at home and built snowmen, and I shot some sledges and stuff. It was great.
Sled riding, yay! So
yeah.
Fortunately, it did not rain too bad whenever I was here in Scotland. So I think I must have been a good luck charm. So
yeah, you're lucky then. You're lucky. We've had some okay weather this week though. The sun has been out. You can tell it's spring now. Yeah, so it's been not bad, but it won't last. This is Scotland. It won't last.
Yeah. I know you mentioned about COVID earlier there too. So first off, were you part of any other groups? I think you mentioned one earlier when I think you were doing one in your teens, I guess. Have you been part of any bands recently?
No. no.
So you just strictly
Prefer to just do my own thing. Like, I have been asked on several occasions, but I've kind of been like, the time commitment and stuff like that for me, because I've got my kids and I've got my life here and my work and stuff like that. It's kind of like, I didn't want to commit to anything. The last time I played in a band was like about 13 years ago, and that was just standing in for a guy who had left at the time while they waited for another one. So that was nothing more than a few practice sessions, and I was like just helping my friend who was one of the guys I worked with at the time. So yeah, that was that.
Okay, but I guess in terms of COVID, I guess how bad was it for you, family wise, and if you want to listen to anything else music wise, go ahead, because it sounded like it was kind of a blessing in disguise for the music.
Yeah, well, actually, the way I look at that, I mean, at the end of the day, we were all in the same boat at the same time. We all had the same problem at once, and I kind of, there's things about it that's kind of like, well, it is what it is, like with furloughs and stuff like that. But I think the time that I was able to spend here with my kids and with my family is kind of like time you'll never get back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of the things that's like, that's going to happen one time to have that much time. Do you know what I mean? And we made the most of it. I mean, I'd said that I was actually talking to my wife about this last week, I think. It was like, do you know what? We never had a lot of money during that time, but we were actually pretty happy. Do you know what I mean? Because of the time we had together and the sort of closeness and the unitness of it. Whereas it's usually, if you're in a working life where both parents are working, kids are at school and whatever, it's kind of, sometimes you're kind of like passing the ships. Do you know what I mean? Like people going to work and people coming home and stuff like that. But that was a good time. No for the situation, no financially. But yeah, I just remember having an outburst of creativity during that time, which is what led to the RunDMKilla movie being made. I think now it would be a lot more difficult to try and make something like that with everybody on the hamster wheel going round on their daily lives. Do you know what I mean? It's just purely because there was time and purely because nobody had anything else to do.
That's good to hear. Did you guys get real sick with COVID? Were you and your family okay?
No, actually, my son got it. So March 2020, my son got it, and then I had it, and it kind of just felt, it kind of felt like a hangover with a cold, and I was like that in my bed, floored for about 5 or 6 days, and then one day I woke up really, really early, and I did not have a single symptom. It was really strange. I've never recovered from an illness that fast ever. And then a few times after that, either my wife had it and then my son had it, and then we were kind of trying to stay in different rooms of the house and stuff like that. But as far as I'm aware, I had it one time. I never really felt that bad before, but yeah, it was fine. It was okay.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blessings to you and your family there, mate. Good to have you along here. So
yeah, thank you. You as well, man.
Thank you. This little short that you were talking about, the little horror that you and your friends put together, what was it about? Because I didn't think I'd check it out. I was just checking out a couple of your drum covers.
It was kind of like, have you seen Twin Peaks?
You know what? I've always heard about it. I never watched it the whole way through, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan, a huge David Lynch fan, and so it was kind of took inspiration from Halloween. It kind of took inspiration from Twin Peaks. And it was basically just, it was just basically fun. It was basically what we did. We just bought masks and props and stuff like that, and packets of powder, red powder that you mixed with water that made like a juice bottle size of blood, so you could throw everywhere. And we would just go out into the woods, and there was no really any particular plot to it. It was just more thinking there's something interesting visually, something different, as opposed to doing a drum cover. I ended up making these tracks and remixing tracks. I wrote some tracks myself and then put samples that would be known in there as well, from like Eraserhead, and there was Nirvana samples, there was Rakim samples, there was quite a lot of samples, but the instrumentals were like original. So it was just more making something that was fun, visually interesting, and I was like, I don't think I know anybody who's doing anything like that. So that's why I kind of like to think like that. Like, what do people not do that I can try?
Which is funny with the Twin Peaks because I know they actually named a restaurant after. It was called Twin Peaks as well here too. I'm trying not to think it was because of the horror movie or anything like that. I think it was because it's also like in American eyes. I don't know if it's global, but it's pretty much just another version for Hooters. If you know what Hooters is all about. So
Yeah. Well, that's about.
actually, it was almost like those lumberjacks sort of like shirts, for instance, there too. You just get these waitresses and they're wearing that sort of clothing, that sort of stuff. So I don't know. It's just strange, but I think I've heard about the movie Twin Peaks, but I never seen it. So
Yeah, it was my mum that had put me onto that when I was younger. She had the movie, and the movie's called Fire Walk with Me. It's very, very good, but it's kind of like a prequel to Twin Peaks in general. The TV show had finished by this point, and a few years later they made this movie, which kind of puts it a lot into perspective. Because David Lynch is a very interesting artist, visually in the way he tells stories and stuff like that. And there's a lot of kind of head scratching moments that he never finishes. He just leaves them like that. Do you know what I mean? That movie. I saw the movie before I saw the series, so to me it was like a line. It was linear. I was able to see this will happen before they watch TV series. But if you watch TV series first, then it's about trying to solve a murder of a local teenager in a town, and what seems like the ideal town is kind of filled with some very shady characters, and obviously the FBI come in and they start investigating, and then things just get really weird, and what you think you're looking at as a murder is tied up with types of demonic possession and other worldly dimensions and stuff like that. It takes a real U-turn when you think this is like just a cop drama. No, it's not. And yeah, I was so happy when they brought it back for the third season, because they did 2 seasons and it ended, and then they brought it back again like 25 years later. Now there's a part in Twin Peaks when the FBI agent Dale Cooper is in this place called the Black Lodge, and he's talking to what he thinks is the dead girl, Laura Palmer, who's in it, and she says to him, "I'll see you again in 25 years." And when they brought it back, it was 25 years later. So it kind of came in, and then it was very good how it connected up and stuff like that. Yeah, David Bowie was actually in the movie, and you think like, oh, it's like Chris Isaac was in the movie as well. You know, the Wicked Game guy. He was in that movie as well. So was Kiefer Sutherland, but they just had small parts at the beginning. David Bowie's part was like, you thought it was a small part, but then when they brought it back, it was actually, his character was very, very central to the entire thing, as far as I remember. And yet, it was, in the movie, it seems like it's just a small part, and it's just to David Bowie. It just looks like David Bowie's nowhere in a costume. It just looks like he's walked it off the street kind of thing. But yeah, I recommend you watch it. Watch the series and watch the movie Fire Walk With Me. Very interesting. Strange viewing, but very entertaining.
that's interesting. All right. So I have to admit, I get pretty distracted doing the podcasting, the drumming, as I'm sure you see, but also working a part-time job and a main full job. So, like you,
2 jobs.
Yeah. So I do. It's a part-time job on a Friday and Saturday, kind of helping out at a local restaurant. So
all right.
Helps pay the bills. So it helps pay for the gas, as I like to say. So
yeah, fair enough.
So like you, I deal with time constraints. So I really I'm actually trying to finish doing The Sopranos, which I only got to season 3, and then I keep putting it off for some reason. So
okay.
So.
Do you know what? That's the funny thing is about The Sopranos? I've never watched it, and yet I've seen loads of clips of it, and I've seen the ending, but I've never actually sat and watched it. Something I need to get round to as well, but you know, there's plenty of time for that.
We would think, but then it turns out we don't have that luxury anymore. So it's a problem working a multiple job. So
busy man.
We keep ourselves busy. So
yeah.
So I guess let's go and jump to the gear right here too. So I think I was hearing you warming up right there. So I guess what you got for the drums, and then what's the turntable there?
No, this turntable is it's a reloop portable turntable. This is button for like portablism now. So this is like the good thing about this is like it has its own speaker. You can put batteries in it. It responds just as well as any other turntable. It takes 7-inch vinyls and singles. So there is a thing called the Portablist Lounge, which takes place every year. I want to enter it one year. I'm determined that I'm going to enter this competition one year. So yeah, I use this to play about on because it's the easiest one for me to get to. My other one is the Reloop Mark II RP7000, which is like a big full-sized one, very heavy, very bulky, and I don't have anywhere to store it where I can keep it out, so I put it away. So this one is fine for me to play with when I'm just mucking about and coming up with ideas for tracks or remixes or whatever. The sampler is the it's the Akai MPC Touch. So this is an older model of sampler, but it's perfectly fine. People still use the MPC 2000s, which are, you're talking old school, like hip hop at this point. And yet people still use them purely because of the records that were actually made on them, and because it's a very iconic piece of equipment. Yeah, I would say if it were to say like my favourite instruments would be drums, but like sampler and turntable are close second. Then I would say guitar, because I love what you can actually do with these pieces of equipment. Kind of becomes limitless at that point, really depending on your creativity. But yeah, and my drum kit is the Command Mesh, the Alesis Command Mesh. I bought a double bass pedal for it. I never came with one, but I really like double bass, as you might have been able to tell. So yeah, that's my equipment that I use generally. I do have mixers and things like that, a Bluetooth mixer and stuff like that, which is good if I'm using to connect to a phone, or if I just want to quickly listen to something on my phone, I can put it in the mixer and plug my turntable in or whatever and just find a place to jam. Because I might get an idea and then forget. So I'm very good at leaving myself voice notes on my phone. Like I'll record myself talking. Even if I'm at work, I'll run to the office and I'll start talking to my phone, say, remember this idea, remember this part, so I can go home and check it later, because the chances are it's getting so busy, so many things on my mind at that time that I'm probably not going to remember the idea. But yeah, so that helps a lot.
That's for sure. All right, and I guess what you got in terms of the turntable right here? I guess what sort of sounds were you going to provide for us today?
Well, they're basically like one-shot sounds, because I've made a wee remix of some tracks and instrumentals here just to play, just to demonstrate. But yeah, so that's my favourite kind of technique there. Actually, it's show you that if I change my camera here like that. So that's like Jazzy Jeff, probably seen him in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So DJ Jazzy Jeff. So he was the creator of the Transformer scratch, which is cutting the fader with your hand really quick while letting the record go. So it's kind of like, so you can do scratches, yeah. So that's the Transformer. Yeah. So even stuff like that, I mean, there's a lot of guys who I look up to, like Scratch Bastard, he done a DJ set at the, what was it, Scribble Jam, I think it was called, and he did like this is guys with two turntables doing battles, basically like rap battles, but it's DJ battles, yeah, who can do the best routines and stuff. And at the very end of his set, he had put two instrumentals on that sounded just like hip-hop instrumentals. And what he did was, he kind of looked at the guy who was his opponent, as if to say, watch this. And then he turned and he started playing, he started stopping the record with his hand and letting it go, and then back spinning records. And when he'd done it in that way, it became the Imperial March, and the place went nuts. And it was crazy. And ever since I saw that as well, I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I'd be that good one day. But watching guys like DJ Shortcut and Jazzy Jeff, Jam Master J, DJ Lethal, Limp Bizkit, these people, kind of, again, through watching what they're doing, how they're moving their hands. DJ Shortcut's very good because he actually makes tutorials on how to actually do techniques and the names of them and stuff like that. But if you watch a DJ, it doesn't look very hard, but it can take a wee bit of getting used to actually do it. And it took me, I was kind of discouraged for a long time because I could never understand how it was working. And then as soon as I started to understand how the fader hand was working, like as soon as I started to understand how to cut, things became very clear. It was a lot easier at this point. By no means am I the best DJ anybody has ever seen. I do enough to get by. I'm entertaining enough, but like those guys, I mean, I'd love to meet them all one day, I hope.
I am not worthy to kiss their sandals or anything like that. So
yeah, exactly. I'm sure some of them would maybe watch and be like, nah. You know what I mean?
I'd be like, no, get out. That's sort of
yeah,
deal. So
that's awful. Leave.
Please leave. That'll deal.
Yeah.
So yeah. Actually, it's funny you bring up the whole turntable because I think the very first time I actually heard about it was because of Linkin Park. And did you ever get into their music?
Yeah, I love Linkin Park. Their DJ is Johan. And actually, the next video that I'm working on, the next track, is Linkin Park versus Metallica versus Eminem versus LL Cool J. And the underlying beat which I've layered is actually from Cure for the Itch. That is the track that Johan did, the DJ track that's in Hybrid Theory. So that, yeah, I love that beat. So I put that as underline of the beat and then layered around it with the guitar and stuff like that, because I was thinking, which song could I use? Which is going to be the bass? That's when I'm usually making tracks. I'm thinking, what's going to be the bass for the track? What's the actual instrumental going to be? Is there going to be a change? Is there not going to be a change? And because it's like hip hop style, the way I do things, I'm trying to make drum videos that are interesting enough that they have different elements to them, but essentially it's like hip hop, it's like rap music. Trying to decide, right, if this was my dream collaboration, who would I want to play and what would I want them to do? And that's kind of the way I think about it, is if I was thinking, if I could see these guys on a stage, what would they do? And that's kind of the way I think about it. So yeah, so my next one is coming, Metallica, Linkin Park, Eminem, LL Cool J. So yeah, I'll be ready in about a week, I would say.
That's why I brought up Cure for the Itch, especially when it does the introduction. I'd like to introduce Mr. Hahn.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, wasn't that fun? Let's try something else. Yeah. Yeah, that beat is solid though. I love the beat. It's like the but it's like he's filtered it and turned the high end off and then put the mid and the bass up, so it's like really, really bassy and it's like mixed in with reverb and it's just such a great beat. I think he uses a decimator on it as well because it sounds like it's not just reverb, it sounds sort of decimated. It sounds almost kind of, I don't know, you would expect to hear that kind of sound coming from a video game or something like that. It's really cool what he done. There was also a live version that he did in Australia, which is even better. You should check. It was on maybe it was the 20th anniversary of the album, something like that, came out, and there was a live version on there somewhere. I think it was in Sydney, Australia. You should check that out as well. That's really good. But yeah, I love Linkin Park as well. That was another thing. Around about 2000, 2001, when my mum was listening to music, and it's the new metal stuff that's coming in. So it's Limp Bizkit, and it's Linkin Park, and it's Korn, and then Eminem brought out the Marshall Mathers LP, and Dr. Dre had brought out 2001 and things like that. So all these things were all at the same time, and at least it wasn't like Britney Spears and all these guys, you know what I mean? It could have been a lot worse. I'm happy that I'm an only child in the sense that I never had to endure any of the boy bands or girl bands off that time.
You didn't get into the Backstreet Boys or the NSYNC. It was like, maybe if you had a sister, maybe that's what they got into.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, because I know it happened to a lot of guys, but nah, I was fine. We were all good in the house.
It all went to their head, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Linkin Park, what do you make of their new lead singer?
Well, I think she's a good singer. I think the record is pretty good. There's a few good tunes on there. Two Faced is a very good tune. In fact, that was a really good tune. It does sound like Linkin Park, but I think legacy-wise, I mean, there's going to be people who are like, no, it's like after this point there is no more. It's kind of like people with Metallica's Black Album. After that, there was no more. Do you know what I mean? It just depends. It's obviously not the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But people get like that. If you like it, listen to it, enjoy it. If you don't listen to it. Do you know what I mean? But you always get people like that. It's kind of, you look at, I read some of the comments and stuff about Amy Armstrong, and I was just kind of like, well, if you spend so much energy to say these things, why not just not listen? Do you know what I mean? It's not really your decision. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
The devil made me do it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, see, when Alice in Chains got a new singer after Lane Staley died, he was handpicked by Lane Staley's parents, but still, a lot of people were like, "No, it's not the same. It's not Alice in Chains." Even when you listen to post Lane Staley Alice in Chains albums, you can tell that Jerry Cantrell has written all these tracks, and a lot of the times it's hard to distinguish where the actual vocalist's voice is in the mix, because it just sounds like Jerry Cantrell had a lot of solo material, and to me, Alice in Chains' new stuff kind of sounds exactly the same as that to me. Whereas an Alice in Chains record back in the day, yeah, you could definitely tell, yeah, during that grunge movement, but vocals that just pierce you. Do you know what I mean? He had that kind of voice. They all did, those grunge guys. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. That's what was so iconic about the whole thing. But yeah, it's never going to be the same. But you have to respect the decision that, you know what, they enjoy making music. It's their livelihoods. It's their legacy. Just leave it be. Do you know what I mean? If you, like I'm saying, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't listen to it. If you do, fine, good for you.
yeah, it's almost like if they're going to do it, they're still probably going to sell out some shows, because actually they are coming to the Berg, but I think it's during that. I don't think I'm going to be able to go. So,
I'd actually, there was the rumor going around at the time that it was going to be Sum 41 singer who was going to be replacing Chester in Linkin Park, and he had to come out publicly and say, "No, it's not me." You know, but there's some footage of them, Sum 41 with Mike Shinoda playing Faint live, and he does cut it to his credit. He can really do it, but I think the intensity of doing that for an entire evening would be a bit different for a singer like Derek is his name, Derek Whibley. Yeah, I actually saw Sum 41 at the end of last year on their farewell tour at the Glasgow OVO Hydro, and I took my wife. My wife had, you believe this? My wife had never been to a concert in her life. So my wife is 31, never been to a live concert in her entire life. So I took her, and she didn't want to go home. She was asking when the next one is. She absolutely loved it. Do you know what I mean? We're walking out with tinnitus, ears ringing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, she had a great time. It was a fantastic show. Yeah, good times.
Was it one of those instances you had to keep raising your voice just to hear over each other?
Yeah.
Ringing in here. So,
yeah.
Jeez. So now you know what to give her for Christmas now. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How did you and your wife meet? Did you guys both meet in college?
No, I actually used to be her manager. one of those HR nightmares. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no.
Dez, you dirty dog, you.
Yeah, no, we met like 2012. Yeah, and then the rest is history. We've been married now for 9 years, and we've got 2 kids. So all is. Thank you.
Take a bow, Des. So.
All is fine. All is good.
Good man. There, congratulations, there, mate.
Thank you.
Trying to remember what else, but have you written like any songs? Like I know you say you do your own material, but are you mainly just doing like your own little samples and then just putting it out there for the world to hear? Or I guess have you tried writing your own music and then put it on like Spotify, for instance?
Yes and no. So yeah, I do have songs on Spotify, but this was done last year, and it's drum and bass music. Because drum and bass is another type of music, or dreamcore, or whatever these people are calling it on Spotify. Yeah, so I do like fast drums played over sampled music. That's essentially what drum and bass is, really quick drums, the Amen breaks and stuff like that. But that was done purely just because, really. There is tracks that I did put out there that I'm like, I want to use them, because you can obviously, if the BPM is like, 160, you can half time it and then it can be something else, yeah? It can be hip hop. So I'm going to go into that. I've also been collaborating with my friends. So my friend who I was in the band with originally, Paddy, the one that taught me to play guitar, we have been collaborating recently. And we're just trying to figure out exactly what it is that we want to do. But I know a guy who is a really good grunge vocalist who's from North Carolina. His name's Jimmy Fudos, and I met him 17 years ago. This was back in the MySpace days, of bands and fringes over eyes and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That period in time where Tom was everybody's first friend, and the MySpace stuff, yeah. So I've spoke to him, and I was like, look, I've got these tracks and I've got this guitar and that recorded, and I told him that we're trying to figure something out this with guitars and turntables and drums and samplers and stuff, but I can't sing. My friend is an okay singer, but he's not what I'm looking for these tracks. So I asked Jimmy in North Carolina. He said, yeah, whatever you have, send it to me, send me the BPM, stuff like that, and I will try my best to record it back. So we're going to kind of do like a three-way collaboration from the States to Scotland between the three of us. So yeah, we do have things like that in the works. But yes, once I've got these videos that I'm doing kind of out of my system, then I'll have more time to think about, right, what other ideas do I want to explore, I suppose. Because like I'm saying, I don't really collaborate with people, but I have been offered to collaborate with a few people recently, and I have been like, yeah, we can do things like that. There's a guy called Obsession from New Zealand who wants to collaborate, and we have Diana Hopkins, who has asked me to collaborate as well. She's a drummer on YouTube, and yeah, the collaborations I've got going there just now. So yeah, the options are there. It's not something I tend to do, but yeah, I can entertain the idea. Yeah, and it could be something that comes out of that that's very good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring those avenues.
That's for sure. And hey, you can turn a hobby into some sort of career before you know it.
That would
2 jobs.
That would be the dream.
That will be the day. So
yeah, that'll be the day.
And actually, there was a friend of mine out of Australia, Paul Clark. I gotta give a shout out to him actually, because he had actually first told me about drum and bass. That was the first time I actually heard about that sort of genre.
Yeah.
Mainly because you hear too much about genres, how people always seem to like break into now categories. I even like see it in metal, for instance, there too. So I will say like maybe Linkin Park's like rap metal or something like that there too. So I guess what do you make of genres these days? Think they're kind of maybe doing too much?
I think there's maybe too many genres. I know. Well, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? If people are creative in a way that they can make it work, then fine. But some of them, I mean, dubstep is a genre of music that I've never been able to get behind. I don't. I'm not into dubstep whatsoever. I entertain dance music, I entertain house music and drum and bass, but dubstep is like just one of those things. Or hardcore. Have you ever heard hardcore?
I say is it like hardcore rock, for instance, or something like that, or
It's like electronic dance music. It's like the BPMs are like 200 BPMs, and the bass is like really, really overly distorted, so that it sounds like almost a siren. Yet people go to festivals and listen to this. It's crazy. But I've never really been much for hardcore or dubstep. But yeah, electronic music, like Daft Punk. I saw Daft Punk in 2007, and they came to. There was a concert here that was right next to Loch Ness called Rock Ness. Right. So the big thing was they sold all their tickets that year because Daft Punk was going to be headlining. And they were inside a tent, and they had all these, like a pyramid and all these lights, and then they all matched up with the lights on their suits and the remixes they did of their tracks and stuff, and it blew my mind. And that was another thing back then, even, that was like the idea of taking songs that people know and then remixing them into each other and chopping them up and crossing them over. I mean, it was just, for me, that was phenomenal. I always remember that gig. But yeah, so yeah, genres of music, it really depends. If it's good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good. And
we'll just cross it off the list if it's not good. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some types of crossover music and that, like hardcore and punk, that is like suicidal tendencies, or like you're saying, nu metal, rap metal, the Limp Bizkits and the Linkin Parks and stuff. But I mean, outside those kind of crossovers, it's hard to think of anything that really, really stands out. In fact, recently, well, it was actually less than a year ago now, Cypress Hill had played at the Albert Hall down south, and it was like a sort of like a Metallica with a symphony deal, but it was Cypress Hill with a symphony. And I've watched bits of footage of that, and that's phenomenal. I really like sort of worldly music and classical music as well, because I like strings and stuff like that, and harpsichords and stuff. And I mean, like, I like a lot of, I can listen to anything from Madonna to Mayhem, but I really like guys like Jean-Michel Jarre, Andreas Vollenweider, Enya, these kind of sort of movie soundtracky kind of guys that make music like that. And they're like, I love listening to pieces of music like that and then sampling stuff like that. Even when I'm sampling still, I might be watching a movie and then the soundtrack in the background might be something that catches my eye. So then I'm looking for the album on Spotify so I can find the one piece so I can sample it. Do you know what I mean? There was a Godzilla movie that was out not long ago called Godzilla -1, and there was a track on there that I had to find out what it was because I really needed to sample it. So that's another one that'll be somewhere in there when I do these YouTube videos. That'll be in there somewhere.
It sounds the copyright actually work, because I guess when you're trying to even sample maybe some sort of track, like from a movie, for instance, or two, how bad is the copyright? Is it going to get to a point where it's like, no, you can't post this video?
No. So when I post videos, when I've made them public, they will come back at some point saying the copyright has been detected, and it'll either say that it's like with some restrictions, and then when I click on it, it just says, for example, like it's not available in like one country somewhere, or it'll say that there is copyright, but then it'll say that the artist allows this to be used. So I think that's a big step forward, because I remember a long time ago on YouTube, if you tried to leak anybody's songs or anything like that, like things were getting shut down or videos were getting removed. And I was kind of like, it did kind of cross my mind. I was like, I'm spending quite a lot of time making these videos and stuff. I don't want to see them being removed or things like that. But luckily that section is there now when you're uploading, so you're aware that, well, it's been flagged, but it's okay. Do you know what I mean? I've never had any issues yet.
Actually,
I'm not making any money anyway, so.
That too, yeah. Actually, I had to laugh at my Testament covers because every single one I've done, they're banned from Belarus and Russia. So, but they're allowed.
That's exactly the same thing. That's exactly I was hinting at. It's usually it's Russia that for some reason they just block them there, but maybe that's to do with the current situation, I suppose. But yeah, so I mean, other than that, I mean, yeah, I've watched your Testament covers on that. The Testament's another band that's really good. Souls of Black in that is like one of my favourite tracks in metal in general.
I actually really got to the New Order. That's the album that seems to be a personal favorite, and I've slowly been doing each one. So I'm actually going to be able to wrap up the album this year. So,
all right, cool. Are you going to do it like in a whole thing, or are you going to just track after track?
I've been doing
separate videos
individually. I've been doing like individually each song, and then I just post one like each month. And then what I used to do when I finally finished like the whole album, I pull all the drum covers together and be like, "Here's the whole album." And twice it's happened to me. One was Silverstein's "When Broken Is Easily Fixed," and the other one was Death Angel's "The Ultraviolence." They both got flagged that no, you can't post this video. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna just post the drum covers. I'll get the whole thing saying it's partially blocked in Belarus and Russia, or the owner allows it to be played on YouTube. So
yeah.
So I was gonna roll with that.
Oh well.
But it seems like what you've been telling me about the music scene in Scotland, it seems like you guys have been on the up and up since they started lifting COVID restrictions. Is that right?
Yeah, there was a period in time when right after the restrictions started to ease, that you needed a COVID passport to get into a venue, and it was like a thing on your phone with a big QR code they kept changing before you would even be allowed in, and you had to be COVID free and stuff like that. Which that whole system didn't last very long, as far as I remember. But yeah, so I mean, the overall thing, I think the legacy of COVID in general is that people really reassessed their work-life balance in the wake of that, and therefore a lot of people changed their outlooks on their jobs. Maybe they were working jobs that they didn't like and doing too many hours, and they decided to make changes. I certainly know for the company that I work for that was a thing for a long time, that there was a issue with not just in the company I work for, in general places, staff retention and stuff, because people had reassessed their lives due to COVID and having the free time and stuff. And I think a lot of people were like, no, I don't like this, I'm out of here, and go do something else. And yeah, so I think that's the overall legacy of COVID. But I mean, it's another thing is it's quick to forget. I mean, everybody's back to normal, have been for a long time, and yeah, still one of the things you look back to, like, can you believe that happened? Like, everybody had the same problem at the same time. Nobody could go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It was actually more just like a small card. They just give you a nice little sticker saying like, "Hey, I got these 2 vaccination shots." So there you go. Can I come in now? So
yeah, we had to take the what was it called? I forget what it's called now. The lateral flow test with the drip on the thing to say if you had to have the proof that you had taken the lateral flow test before they would let you in to certain places. And I think a lot of people were like, it's just not worth the effort, I'll get the online delivery or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go out because you go into a gig or something like that and everybody's got to stand so far away and there's only so many people allowed in, so they're not selling a lot of tickets and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. Nobody really knows what to do until you're in the situation. And even then, you know what I mean? Do people really know what to do? It was a crazy situation.
actually, I think Australia kind of went a little extreme with theirs because a couple people I've interviewed out of that country there, one played in like a black metal group, for instance, and he was like saying like they had like these little squares for everybody just to stand in. So obviously you can't mosh or do anything like what you would normally see like at a metal concert. So right. You're only confined to this little square, so to keep yourself 6 feet apart. So I was like, that's like, this actually happened? Jeez, that would not fly in the States. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what that even looked like. How many people would be allowed in?
Beats me. So apparently they made it work somehow. So, well. Good to see the music scene's doing well there in Scotland. So make sure you keep getting those tickets for Christmas. She'll keep you a happy life right there too, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen, what's coming up in the future. Yeah, I hadn't been to. Actually, the last time I had been through to Glasgow before recently, because I saw in the last few months I've seen Sum 41, Pantera, and Limp Bizkit. Before that, it was like COVID time, pre-COVID time, and it was like Slipknot, and it was DJ Shadow was in another venue. And these were the last two live gigs that I'd been to. So it's been quite a few years since I've actually been back to these places and in amongst the crowd, and you know what I mean, dancing and jumping and whatever. Yeah, but crazy. But actually, just saying it, I mean, I was talking to me and my friend when we went to see Limp Bizkit a couple of weeks ago. We were like, you know what? I've been to loads of gigs here because it's the main place that people will go will be the Hydro in Scotland, in Glasgow, and I've never seen a crowd jump about like that. It's just crazy. It was such a party, such a party. It was fantastic. That's another one like that Daft Punk one. I'll never forget that for a long, long time. Hopefully never. In fact, I would like to repeat the experience. They should come back.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So, I guess what do you think of the overall concert? Because you sent me some little snippet videos of you took with the Pantera and Limp Bizkit. I guess how they do.
Yeah, they were both fantastic. If I had to say which one was better, I would have said Limp Bizkit was better because it was more lively. But I think Zach Wilde done an amazing job on the guitar, and the legacy stuff that was on stage and things like that, the screens and stuff for Dimebag and Vinny was really moving and really fantastic. Yeah, it was a solid performance. Played all the hits. I think that concert went on longer than Limp Bizkit's concert because Limp Bizkit's tour, the Loserville tour, had so many support acts that it seemed to. I don't like. I think the gig finished at like 11:15, but I don't think Limp Bizkit came on until after 9 o'clock. But the doors opened at 6, so that's how long. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so both were very good. Pantera finished by playing fucking Hostile. So that had the place jumping right at the very end. The only gripe I had with the performance of the Pantera was that I've seen Walk be played live and performed on loads of videos of Pantera back in the day, and it's always quite lively and. You know what I mean? I just feel like the only thing I feel like, and this is the only complaint, it's not a reflection on the musicians themselves. I just think they could have sped that up a wee bit. But yeah, it was still solid performance. It was very good. Very, very good. Excuse me.
Because they're nice. So, actually, was Limp Bizkit? Did he kind of let himself go with the facial hair there too? Because it seemed like he was kind of growing in that Santa sort of beard. Was that him or was that somebody else?
No, that's what Fred Durst actually goes about like now, yeah. He just walks about with a bucket hat and a big beard.
Jeez.
Yeah. 50, 52, 53 years old, yeah. Walks about, jogging bottoms, tracky tops. Yeah, it was good stuff. Wes Borland's outfit, though, was phenomenal. It was so colourful. It was like a skull with a Mohican, and he had this gold suit on that had all these colourful drawings and stuff that he must have drew or painted himself, and then it matched the mask and stuff like that, and the mask was like a skull mask when it had all the teeth. It was crazy. You should check the pictures for that. It was like, we looked at that and we were like, because we were standing at this one, and we were like, look at Wes. It's like unbelievable. It's so cool. Get every bit of a rock star. Big pink Jackson guitar in that as well. It was just brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant.
So like that guy's tripping on something. So
yeah. Whatever he's on, give me some of that. Like this guy's very creative. Very
I guess
creative.
so. As you did, Limp Bizkit, they do this whole little scare. He's like, "Fuck, Limp Bizkit," that whole deal.
Yeah. No, they never done that there. They, I know what you're talking about though. They did that a lot of times. No, they basically during the intervals they had DJ Lethal doing scratching and just playing different tracks and stuff like that. Yeah, so not so much of that, but yeah, they had fans up on stage singing the songs, and yeah, it was an excellent night. They played break stuff twice as well, so I was kind of like, we were when we were coming through, we were like, oh, I hope they play this song, hope they play that song. We're watching some gigs from recent that like try and get an idea of what the set list is, and then they came on and they opened with break stuff, and I was like, nah, I wish they had played like Rearranged, and I wish they had played like maybe Build a Bridge or something like that. But then I was like, yeah, but they played break stuff twice. You know what I mean? Like at the very beginning and very end, and it was both times amazing, fantastic.
I'll check out the set list. But was that in Glasgow or in Edinburgh?
Glasgow. Yeah, okay. Edinburgh's not really so good for concert venues. I know in recent years, like big names like Beyonce and Taylor Swift had played at Murrayfield Stadium, which is in Edinburgh. But generally speaking, most of the guys who are coming to Scotland, they are going to Glasgow. And I mean Murrayfield is fine, but Glasgow, I think Glasgow is such a good venue. The Hydro is so easy to get to. It's such a good venue. As overpriced as it is, but it's a good venue. Yeah. So I think the next biggest act that I can think of playing in Edinburgh is Oasis. They've reunited, so they are playing at Murrayfield in, I want to say, August. I tried to get a ticket for that, but nah. I was in the queue for about 5 hours, thinking I was getting to the front of the queue to get my ticket. Then I was put into another queue. Then it said, we think you're a bot, so you've been chucked out the queue, and then you're going back in the queue. And then by the time we got to the actual tickets, they were like £350. I was like, I'm not paying £350 to stand at the back.
Goddamn Ticketmaster. So yeah.
Oh. But then actually the Ozzy Osbourne's farewell with that megastar lineup, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Pantera, all those guys, Black Sabbath are reuniting. I peeked at the price of those tickets on the day, and they were like £700. Like,
I think they actually said the Ozzy Osbourne and the Black Sabbath concert, I think they said it's sold out in like 15 minutes, but you don't know how many of those are what they call the scalpers, or people who like take the tickets, but then they'll sell it back at double the price. So
yeah, I know a few people who have done that too. I'm not going to name any names, but if you're watching, you know who you are. Resold tickets for double the price. Not to me, but I know they've done it.
Fair warning, that whole deal.
Yeah, it's no fair. I mean, the concert ticket prices are bad enough without people trying to charge double or 3 times as much for them. I mean, they're expensive enough. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say a couple of venues, well, one I'm going to in May, but the one I went to over in my neck of the woods called Preserving Underground, that one was, I'd say reasonable. It was in the 50, 60 range just for one ticket. So
yeah,
that's a smaller venue than used to be a church at one point. So you're bringing in all these death metal acts. So
all right, okay.
They had that, and then actually the one I was pretty frustrated about, but I was still going to do it because it was a Christmas gift. It's the Roxy in Theater is its name, but that one was like $200 some. So I think I might have actually got into the 300 category with tax or the little insurance they put in if you lose your tickets or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we get the same thing as well. To insure them the missed event policies and stuff like that. So you can, if these things happen, you can have your money back. If you're just late, you can't have your money back. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't know about late. I thought they would still scan it, but I don't know. I guess it just depends on the venue. So
yeah.
But that might actually tie in with like maybe AI doing something. I don't know, but what do you make of like AI and like social media these days?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Terminator. So you know what happened in those movies, yeah. So this is where it's going. This is where I think it's going. It's in the cute stages now, where the pictures and the artwork that can't draw hands properly and stuff like that. But there's they're like that, the hands, and it's like somebody who's like that waving or something like that. Yeah, or they're standing up and then a leg starts growing out of their back and stuff like that. Yeah, these horrible monstrosities that AI makes. I think, I mean, for artwork, a genuine artwork, I don't think is a good thing. I think you can make some cool pictures, but I think it's not the same as somebody who's actually taken the time to learn the craft and appreciate the craft and draw it. But I think it will get to a point where we are too reliant on it, and it will take over like all the major systems, airports, airplanes, transport, jobs will end up being replaced. It's going to go that way. But I think the kind of scariest thing about it is like it's kind of that whole Skynet theory. You know what I mean? If you put an AI system in charge of your military systems and it becomes self-aware, what's it going to do? Do you know what I mean? So I think we need to tread carefully. I think if you look at how people use social media, it's clearly like kind of like we're a kid in a candy store kind of thing with these kind of technologies. They are quite advanced for what they can do, and yet people always seem to find them away from. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff is funny, but there's a lot of videos that just kind of make you like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like these are not good. Why is somebody doing this? And why are they getting millions of views? That's another thing.
Because they do like the whole SpongeBob deal where Krabs will probably sing about cheese, for instance, there too. It will be like in his voice and all that stuff. So, yeah. Okay, that's funny, but like you said, it gets a little much whenever it's like the millions of views and it's like not, or a person just simply typing in some keywords and like, hey, here's a song. There you go. Yeah. Have a nice day. So,
yeah.
But you're not the only one who's brought the Skynet theory, if we wanted to call it that. So
yeah,
get people's views.
Name one movie that involves an AI where something didn't go horrifically wrong.
Well, you got me there. I mean, they even did like iRobot, which is like, I was going to say Terminator, but I was going to say maybe a little less Terminator with like Will Smith in it. So
yeah, no, send Will Smith. Will Smith can slap them if they have robots that are trying to attack people. Do you know what I mean?
Actually, yeah. I probably think it's Chris Rock doing that whole deal. So
yeah. We disguise the robots as Chris Rock. Will Smith can take them out. It will be iRobot, be iRock.
Something like that. Oh my god, he's never been the same after that there too.
Yeah, I know. He will never live that down. Eh? Like every time I look now at Will Smith, I'm kind of like, I don't want to watch anything with Will Smith in it because. I mean, it's fine. He slapped somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's the manner in which he did it. And it's kind of like, and the reasons behind why. And I'm just like, he'll never live that down. Eh? How to ruin your career in 10 seconds? You know what I mean? Or to lose many people's respects anyway. Definitely.
They more so lose the respect. So yeah. And yeah. Actually, I didn't know about the whole thing with his wife and all. I thought at first you feel like, oh, he's just defending his wife. So. Maybe you should like settle back and be like, hey, I appreciate you're just up there talking jokes, but can you just ease up on the whole wife jokes at first? That's why you should.
I feel like you could have said that to him in private instead of like slapping him. But I mean, it is what it is now. It's happened, yeah, and so many memes and so many. I saw somebody had made a music video out of it and had remixed like what he said with the "keep my wife's name out your effing mouth" and all that stuff, and they'd put it in a song, and it was like the beat was like Chris Rock saying Will Smith smacked the shit out of me, and it was just going over and over again with Will Smith, and they had it sounded like a rap song. It was hilarious, and they had like the Muppets dancing in the background and stuff like that. It was amazing.
So there's one good thing about doing AI is like doing something like that. So
yeah, there you go. When it's put to good use like that, that's fine. Just don't give it any missiles.
That's it, yeah. Actually, there was a good thing. There was a guy I had interviewed. He said he knew a friend of his that was disabled. I don't know if it was like paraplegic or something like that. But doing AI allowed him to make music. So that's a good thing right there.
So that's definitely a benefit for which it can be used for good. But people being people, we'll find a way, I'm sure.
We'll find a way to blow ourselves up eventually. So
Yeah. This is getting a volatile time. Like, it's a very interesting time we live in right now. So yeah, but now we've got AI in the mix. It's not just a thing you see in the movies. It's becoming a reality now. So we need to be careful, especially in this day and age where social media and online is taking up a huge portion of everybody's lives. That you can be easily misled, and watching something you think to be real, it's not real. Voice simulators and AI videos and stuff. Yeah, it's very, 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 very dangerous, I think.
some scary shit, man. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tread carefully, good soldier. So
yeah.
Okay. So Des, we briefed through questions here pretty good. So here, let's jump to some fun ones. Ready?
Right. Okay.
So when I was in Scotland, I actually did try haggis. So I'm familiar with it.
Did you like it?
You know what? The first time I tried it was actually on a breakfast sandwich. It was like had all the fixings with the eggs, sausage, and bacon.
Yeah. Right.
So, I would say it was good. I'd say the manner in which you prep it, and then actually we had a fellow Scot who was also doing the bagpipes, and then did a little Scottish poem. That old deal at our little reception get together. So I'm at least familiar with haggis. I would say it's not really like, holy shit, this thing's fucking amazing. So
it's got a nice spice to it.
That's our deal, yeah. And I guess to kind of kick off, like favorite food wise, would you say what's your favorite food? I guess is haggis in the mix there.
No, people would think, yeah, you're Scottish. It must, yeah, that's all I eat, morning, lunch, and dinner. No, my favourite food is steak, and I'm quite fussy about meat these days because there's a really, really, really good butcher near where I live, and it's like you try the steaks and the meat from this guy's shop in comparison to something you buy in a supermarket, and it's so different, smells different, tastes different, feels different. So yeah, steak from the butchers.
From the butcher, that'll deal.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's an Irish colloquialism. I don't know if that's the correct word, but it's like whenever they say like somebody's around the shop or something like that there too. So I don't know if it's also a Scottish term or anything like that. So it's almost actually there was a thing in the video game Bloodborne. Have you ever played that?
No.
There's a boss you face, and it does a little cutscene in the beginning there. Then he turns around, and he's like beast all over the shop. You'll be one of them sooner or later. So I'll just make sure like the butcher's closed or he's out of meat that day. I'm just picturing that's going to be you in that case. So, yeah. I guess so. Which sort of steak are you? I don't know. They consider strips, ribeyes, sirloins.
Sirloin. Yeah.
All right, good choice. And then real quick, what would you say is a favorite side? You did the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I prefer actually roast potatoes, to be honest. I could eat roast potatoes every day. Mashed potatoes, yeah, if there's no other offer. Chips, fries, yeah, fine. But roast potatoes, yeah, I could eat roast potatoes every day. Or wedges, but mainly roast potatoes.
All right, good choice. All right. So it does sound like you're a little bit of a TV nerd in a way, but what would you say is currently your favorite movie? And then what's your favorite TV series, if you want to share one?
My favourite movie currently? I watched there's a movie called The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Have you ever heard of this movie? It's it's Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it takes place on like an old ship.
Yeah,
so
I think
stuck in this boat with Dracula.
Yeah, I think it was Liam Cunningham was in it. He was a Davos Sealer from Game of Thrones, but yeah, I remember he was in it.
Yeah. So this movie, I watched that movie, and I watched the remake of Salem's Lot. They were really good, but that Demeter one was fantastic because the way that Dracula's portrayed in that movie is like unlike what you think you would expect to see for Dracula. It's just this like really makes him like some like monster yet conscious. Do you know what I mean? It's It's the way he looks as well. I actually had to look up the actor, and the actor actually really looks like that to a degree. He has a thing, a condition called I think it's called Marfan syndrome. It's kind of like alters his body in such a way, and so it's a shame. But he's monetizing his issues, and he's actually been in a lot of horror movies. He was in Wreck and stuff like that as well. So going back years, I never knew this. I was like, wow. He was in what was it? Annabelle as well, when from the wee girl turns up and it's like grows up into this big awkward looking thing and starts jitterily moving like that. He's been in that as well. So yeah, that was awesome. Salem's Lot remake. It's nothing compared to the original, but I did really enjoy it. So yeah, I would say they're the two favourites right now.
They really seem to actually bash the Demeter one for some reason, both of the critics. So I think it was just more visually, or it seemed like a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, that's not scary." So
no, it's more. There is points in it where it's scary, but it's not like jump scary. It's just kind of creepy. Do you know what I mean? It's. I think it's mainly down to the way that Dracula is like portrayed in this movie. But some of the death scenes are quite brutal and stuff like that. But it's really, yeah, I loved that movie. Loved it.
all right, but you do seem like the horror fanatic. I guess you just see the new remake they did with Nosferatu.
Not yet, no. I am going to be watching it in the very near future. I'm just not paying £17.99 on Amazon to watch it, so I'm going to wait.
Wait for the price to go down. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, my mom was real big into the TV series called Shetland. I guess how far is it from Edinburgh?
The Shetland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the islands up at the top of Scotland. One of my friends actually lives there now. So it takes him like 3 or 4 hours like to get here from where he is. Very isolated place as well. Yeah, so that's quite, I think it's about 300 odd miles away from where we are right now.
Yeah, I did tell. It was a pretty spread out.
If you go much further up the planet, there's no more planet. That's how high up they are. Like, it's very, very high up there.
We ran out of room in the kingdom, so.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. So it was a big show my mom was really into. I don't know if it's still running or whether they brought in somebody else. So, yeah, just throwing it out there too. So great show nonetheless.
I've been watching a lot of, House, Doctor House, recently. Something that me and my wife enjoy watching. I never realised how many different conditions there can be to have and diagnose and all these crazy illnesses. Hugh Laurie's a very good actor. He does a very good American accent. But yeah, Doctor House is what we're watching right now. So I would say that's probably my favourite, because every time the dinner is finished and the kids are going playing, my wife's always like, House. Like, House.
Let's go play House. So,
Yeah.
Actually, what'd you make of Game of Thrones? Because I know the author, George R. R. Martin, pulled a lot of Scottish history, mainly with what happened in the Red Wedding, because it was because of the whole historical black dinner that happened. So I guess, what'd you make of Game of Thrones?
To be honest with you, I'm going to be one of these people that disappoint you. I've never watched it. It's on my list of things to do, but I've never watched it.
They do have a good amount of actors who are British, as well as some Scots here and there. I tend to wonder if Liam Cunningham actually is Scottish now that I think about it. I don't know, but it's a great show, but it loses its edge like halfway through, because it's like 8 seasons altogether. So.
Yeah, everybody says it's great. I will get around to it at some point. I will get there.
Eventually. All right. Let's throw it out there. Plus, it does have some Scottish history, so you might learn something there.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Great choices. And for the next one right here, I'm not sure if you are a drinker, but if you are, what's your favorite alcoholic drink? And then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Desperados for an alcoholic drink, and either Coca-Cola or Red Bull for non-alcoholic. Desperados, like, I don't know if you've got that over there. It's like beer and tequila.
I want to say maybe it varies between bars. I don't know if it's like maybe a top shelf sort of deal there. So
Nah, it's like it comes in a big bottle, like 650 ml bottle, and it's just I find myself like getting a bit snobbish about it. You know what I mean? Like I'll not drink normal beer. Like it has to be one of those, yeah. But then they're all good. I like we have Tennent's here in Scotland, so Tennent's is a Scottish lager that's very popular, very good as well. Yeah, beer in general. Yeah, but Desperados is the one, definitely.
actually, it just came to me now, but when we were in Edinburgh, actually, it was close to where Edinburgh Castle is. That little stretch that'll take you up right to the castle there.
Yeah.
There's a place, I forget the name of it right now, but it was basically making a gin and the whiskey and all that stuff right there, too. It seemed like the Scots proud themselves on being the best whiskey makers in their neck of the woods, at least, because I know in the States we have the bourbon and those are whiskey plants in the state of Kentucky and maybe other states, but Kentucky seems to take a lot more of the credit. So, and
yeah, they've got the Edinburgh Gin Company and stuff like that, and you've got local beer companies that are popping up all over the place now that are giving alternatives and IPAs and stuff like that as well. We have another one here that's very popular, a beer called Innocent Gun. I don't know if you tried that when you were here. That's very, very popular as well. But still, for me, it's Desperados. I like the mixture of the tequila and the beer.
actually keep thinking of the Riot song, Swords and Tequila. So,
Yeah.
we can think it up. Actually, you did mention gin too. Yeah, Scottish. They said the Scottish proud themselves with their gin. So, my dad, he's a real big gin drinker. He'll make his own all the time there too. So
yeah, the Edinburgh gin stuff is really nice. It's really nice. It's completely different to like, because we're used to having like Bombay Sapphire or Gordon's or something like that. But the Edinburgh Gin Company stuff is really nice. It's really, really good. And I'm not really so much for spirits, really, to be honest. Prefer the drinks that last longer. But because spirits, high percentage, you can drink them really quickly and ruin your night really fast if you know what I mean. So I prefer to try and stick to one thing. Don't try and mix them, really.
yeah, to be a bad night at the toilet, as they would probably say. So
Yeah,
Actually,
it happens to everybody.
yeah, Bombay Sapphire. Yeah, that's the one he always likes to mix with his gin. So
Yeah, it's very nice. It's good. Like, it's really nice. I like the bottles as well. The colours of the bottles and the designs and stuff. Bombay Sapphire is very good.
color of the balls. All right, I like it. Good choice. And for the last of the fun questions, here's how it will go. If you do have a favorite song of all time, you can feel free to share. Otherwise, if that's too hard, just list your top 3 bands.
Oh, right. Okay, so I could not tell you what my favourite song of all time is, but my top 3 favourite bands in any genre or particular genre, just in general.
Any genre and in general. So
I would say of all time, it would have to be Nirvana, Metallica, and Beastie Boys. But even then, it's like, so I could change that list and it would still be correct because it's just there's too many to list. But yeah, I'm thinking back to my musical influences. So I wanted to pick up the guitar because Kurt Cobain played the guitar. I wanted to play drums because I watched Lars Ulrich. And the Beastie Boys are just that kind of group that blends a lot of different styles and influences together. And they done a lot of rock stuff as well. They used to be a punk band before they were a rap group. So they all play, so as everybody's heard the song Sabotage is like one of the biggest hits. But yeah, and the music's just so fun to listen to as well. And the DJ as well, Mix Master Mike, is just an absolute legend. He's a complete wizard on the turntables, an absolute wizard. He's like the Gandalf of turntablism. You know what I mean? Mix master mic. There's a bit on. I've been trying to do this actually because I've got. I'll show you real quick. I've got this wah wah pedal here for the guitar, right? The Crybaby, right? The classic Crybaby wah wah pedal. And the reason I bought it as well, because I love Kirk Hammett's sound on the guitar in that as well. But in one of the skits in one of the Beastie Boys albums, it's Mixmaster Mike phoning. He's leaving a voice message for Ad Rock, and he's leaving a voice message for him, and he's saying, "Look, I can make my turntable sound like a wah wah pedal." And he starts playing it over the phone, leaving him the message on his answering machine, and the turntable really sounds like Jimi Hendrix guitar or something like that. It's crazy, and I'm thinking of us. That got me the idea. I was like, I want to buy a Crybaby now, and I want to plug it in to my turntable and see if I can do the same thing. So I've yet to try that. It's there, but yeah, I'll get to that as well. So if you see me using wah wah pedals in my videos and turntables, that's to do with that Beastie Boys influence.
Actually, I think next week might be a Rage Against the Machine, considering how Tommy Morello does his whole thing with his guitar.
Yeah, I actually watched an interview with Tom Morello, and he said that his style is influenced by DJs because he was trying to emulate what they do on the guitar. So another very creative individual who is in a very, very good band. He's a couple of good bands. He had Audioslave as well, and he had Prophets of Rage with Chuck D and Cypress Hill as well. So that guy gets around, and he's been on some fantastic records through the last 35 years. So yeah, another absolute legend.
Yeah, God bless him there too. So there. So Des, we're down to one more question on my podcast right here. Before we jump into it, would you like to ask me anything?
Yeah. Let's see. Do you play any other instruments that you're going to display for us in your videos?
I actually did do a couple of bass covers way back in the day, and it was just a standard tuning. And actually, it was just I can't want to say Les Paul because I think that's what my uncle, because it was his bass guitar, and that's what he gave to me. But it was really just a Chinese ripoff, as they would say.
All right. Okay.
It really wasn't the greatest because unfortunately it would still like kind of vibrate even though you were like close to the frets. So it needs some work, but I've been thinking about bass because I'm at least familiar with how the bass clef works. Because I used to do cello way back in the day, so I did that for that was 9 years, yeah. So and then drumming just came up quite by accident because of Rock Band. And then
all right. Okay. Yeah.
So I kept doing that, and then eventually my parents both realized it wasn't a fad, so kind of similar to how your mom was like, no, we're not getting an acoustic set. It was more like we just stumbled upon an electronic set. So it started with just like a beginner's. It was still rolling. I've always rolled with rolling sets, and it started off with like a beginner, worked the way up to a TD 25K, and now I got the VAD 706.
Yeah, cool. I really want to get myself one of the Strike Pro Special Edition, the Alesis ones. Those kits are absolutely gorgeous, but they will run you about £2,000. So I mean, my drum kit's absolutely fine. It's old now in comparison to the newer models. At the time, it was like the latest one out. But I mean, an electronic drum kit is very much exactly the same as a sampler that I've got here. You can load any sound to these pads. I mean, it's the shape of a drum kit, right? But you can put any sound on these pads. It's the exact same concept. And also, I've got access to a lot of sample banks and a lot of individual one-shot sounds for a lot of different instruments and particular drum sounds. And what I like to do is layer sounds in the MPC and EQ them and mix them and add reverb and whatever to them. And then I can load these into the module and assign them to a pad. And through that, limited to using the kits that are in the memory. I mean, it's got loads of sounds, and you probably the same for yours. You can make your own kits with what's there, but it's having the option to actually load samples, your own stuff, is another great thing as well that can be done with electronic kits. Whereas an acoustic kit, I mean, yeah, it's fine. I learned to play drums on an acoustic kit eventually after I stopped hitting my mum's pots and pans and using my wee practice rubber the type of rubber that was on these electronic pads, they never bounced back, so your wrists are just taking a pounding every time you're playing because there's no bounce back on the pads. They're just like hard rubber that does nothing, whereas mesh, much more bouncy feel, much more fun, a lot quieter actually than rubber pads. But the thing is about an acoustic kit is, for me, is because I like the electronic aspect to all my equipment. It can't really change the sound of an acoustic kit unless you buy a different tom or different snare or cymbal or whatever.
Yeah, that's for sure. Though they are extremely fun to play. I think a couple times. I think the one music video or the one drum cover you were doing, I think that you had shared with me. It seemed like you were always like kind of looking up to see if your camera was like, that camera better not fall on me or anything like that. So
that's right. That stand, I'm looking at it right now, is still taped to my ceiling. It's held there with black tape. Somebody asked me, they were like, well, how did you get that camera angle? I was like, it's a selfie stick duct taped to my ceiling. And another person had said, like, oh, I really like the way you keep looking at the camera, and I'm like you're saying there, I'm actually checking to make sure that it's not moved because it's my phone. So there's quite a cheap stick, and my phone's quite heavy, so either it's going to go that way or that way. So I've got it taped, like one piece there holding it there, and it's the selfie camera, so I can see where I am in the video, if I'm exactly in the middle of the video or if I'm off to the side or whatever. Okay, I'm actually checking to see that it's not going to actually fall. But yeah, somebody had picked it up, like, yeah, it's I like the way you keep looking at the camera. I'm like, yeah, it's so I don't get hurt.
Doesn't give me a heart attack or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I get like 10 seconds towards the end and it falls off the ceiling. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not what you want to happen.
It's the final countdown. So
yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. Like, because if you're playing drums and it's like I've arranged the track and stuff like that, and I'm playing the drums, and then it's bad enough if I make a mistake and I'm like, right, now I need to go back and start again. It's different if I'm like 10 seconds towards the end and I can see the camera starting to move, you know what I mean, or it's going to fall off or whatever, and I'm just like, can feel the sweat right there, Ken, right to those last 10 seconds. I'm like, come on, nearly there. If it falls off afterwards, I can edit that out, but you know what I mean. If you're 2 minutes into a 5-minute remix and you make a mistake or something's wrong, then you're starting again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, I will admit, sometimes if I messed up on a part on a drum cover, for instance, I just went back just to do that part. So I would just hit record on my camera and then just do that little section, just to make it easy.
No, I didn't think I could be bothered to stand up and touch my ceiling up and down like that. I would feel like I was doing some sort of aerobic exercise, reaching to the camera, going down. I thought that's too much hassle. That's why I'll keep the camera recording, and if I make a mistake, I'll just like back to the start. I'll do it again. But now that you've said that, I might consider it in the near future if it becomes too tedious. Some of the videos that I make, like some of them, they take me like these are like a week's worth of practicing and probably 7 or 8 different takes. Yeah, you just see the best result, but really, like that's trouble. That's been bothering me, and I'm thinking about what different fills to use and whatever. Yeah, but generally, I mean the good thing about, it's another thing I like about playing drums to hip hop music is because hip hop drums are usually made in samplers using drum machines and stuff like that, and they're generally speaking 4/4 timing, and they're basic dum dum, or sometimes not even that, just dum. There's so much room to do a lot of different things there, whereas doing a cover of like a rock track is more complicated because it's fine if you remove the drums and play it your way, but there'll always be a way that's played particularly, whereas in transferring drums to hip hop music, I find it fun. It's really, really fun. I really enjoy doing it. And people seem to enjoy what I'm doing, so I'll keep doing what I'm doing until I don't know. I mean, there's a few people. A few people did tell me, they were like, "You suck." I was like, "Thanks." But there was one guy. There was one guy that wrote me a. It was like an essay sized. There was like at least like an A4 sheet of paper reply. Um, I watched his video and I was like, "Oh, Ken, do you want to check mine out? I really enjoyed the video and that was really cool. Ken, do you want to check mine out?" He came back and left me this huge essay comment, absolutely destroying every single thing that I did in it. Like, your foot was out of time on this part, your foot needs to move faster here, that symbol's not loud enough, the track's not. It was like anything, it couldn't get worse. And I was just like, I kind of took a picture of it, I kind of skimmed it and was like, right, shit, terrible, but right, delete. I was not going to sit there. I was thinking, I wonder how long it took him to write that, because it took me 5 seconds to skim it and delete it. But yeah, so you do get them. But generally, my feedback has been very, very positive, and I'm really, really grateful to everybody who is supporting and watching, and like yourself as well, and even what you're doing with your podcasts and hooking up with different people, and yeah. So I'm glad we finally got around to this, actually.
Yeah, the job got in the way a couple of times, which I was a little surprised too, because you're thinking you guys work on a Sunday, so.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for me, because of my job, Sundays are usually the days that we do like stock management stuff and margins and P&Ls and stuff like that. Really boring, soul destroying stuff, really. And then when the company collectively decide that we need to do something here, and it's kind of like okay. So yeah, so we're on that hamster wheel for the next, I think there's like 11 or 10 weeks left of that to go now. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, that's all great stuff. So psyched and looking forward to counting boxes.
Hey, it's a lot better than counting sheep in this case. So
Yeah.
all right. Was there anything else? Any other questions?
No, I think we're all good. It's just looking forward to doing a wee bit of scratching here for you. So I've arranged a couple of different instrumentals as a way of an apology, if you like, for delaying a few times. So I was like, I'll do something a wee bit different. So I just wanted to use my wee turntable, come on and scratch and just play some tracks. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that this microphone is going to pick everything up, because I was mucking about with the sounds earlier on to see how loud the speaker needs to be in comparison to the turntable. I think I've got it fine. If not, I do apologise. If it sucks, I do apologise. But I'm trying my best here, and but I think you'll find it'll be more entertaining. If you like scratching, if you like that kind of thing, if you like turntablism, then yeah. But yeah, like I'm saying, I'm not an absolute guru, I'm not a wizard, but I get by. So yeah, any excuse to play with the turntable and the sampler is good enough for me.
Yeah, that's for sure. Did you want to wait till after this question here to play anything on your turntable, or are we going to do that right now?
No, I was just going to wait until we were done, and then I'll play some tracks.
Okay. But there's something else. So here's how it goes. So it used to be just strictly more about COVID here too, but I recently changed it up. But given all the negativity that's been kind of going on in the world, what you've been seeing with political, in your case with Ukraine being somewhere over on the border there, I guess with all that going on there too, it seems like a lot of people have kind of been struggling with finding some sort of hope in this tarnished world, if we would just want to say for lack of a better term. But in that case, what sort of message of hope would you give to people and musicians so they can try to move forward with their lives in these dark times?
Well, I think if there was one word to sum up humanity in general, it would be resilience. Because we're here. There's a lot of bad things that are happening, terrible things. Like we were talking about now, it's an interesting time we live in. If there was any message you hope for musicians, I would say stay active, stay creative. If people are trying to put you down, you know what I mean, brush that off, don't listen to that. You're doing something to better yourself. And it's the same as exercise. If somebody's overweight, or if somebody's got problems with whatever it would be they're trying to learn, if they're trying to better themselves and improve themselves, then you should never at any point try and cut that person down. So for musicians on YouTube, you know what I mean, I think it's great to have a community of musicians who can look to each other. There's a lot of interesting people that I've met recently, yourself included, who post drum videos, who post guitar videos, bass videos. They're even singers, they're keyboardists. Some of them have disabilities, some of them are really good at what they do, some of them are really trying. At the end of the day, I enjoy every video that I watch, and I'm always supportive of people who are trying to do something musical. So sometimes it can seem frustrating, especially it's like oversaturated. There's so many people doing different musical things on YouTube. But I think having a community of people within musicians on YouTube who are close-knit and replying, are always back and forth on each other's videos and content and collaborating and stuff, I think that's the way to stay close-knit and feel like you're part of a community. Because certainly I feel like I've been very welcomed, I've been very humbled by the response that I've had for YouTube for the videos that I've done, and I've seen a lot of people doing a lot of great things. A lot of people, some of the videos I watch, I'm like, I feel like these videos should have a lot more views and a lot more responses. You know what I mean? But I mean, even there's a guy who takes horror movie soundtracks and he turns them into hip hop tracks, just instrumentals, and he does all the famous movies that you can think of, mainly 80s horror movies. But definitely you would recognise him. His name's Joe Millionaire, and he done a mixtape called Horror Out of the Suburbs, and it had like 400 views or something like that, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was absolutely amazing. It influenced me to go straight to my sampler and want to do the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So again, I don't think he actually is active on YouTube anymore. He's somebody that I would love to work with, because he never realised how much he influenced me. Like I'm saying, this was like a small channel with a guy playing with a sampler as well. But I mean, fantastic stuff, really creative stuff. Never would have thought of it that way. Yeah, so final message you hope, I suppose, stay creative, stick in, be yourself, and be resilient, because you kind of need to be, especially in the day and age of social media and where everybody's got access to leave comments and stuff. You kind of need to be a bit thick-skinned. Try not to take things too personally. You know what I mean? You get a lot of keyboard warriors, and it can get to a lot of people. But I think being thick-skinned, brushing that off, not paying attention to that, keep moving forward, would be the best attitude to have, I think.
Spoken like a true prodigy. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Des. Really does mean a lot. So, right. Des, we reached the end of my podcast right here. Boy, we're just probably about 10 or so minutes shy, about 2 hours, actually. But I guess before we close out, would you like to give it any shout-outs, any final words?
Yeah, shout out to yourself for giving me the opportunity to do this. Thank you very much for having me on. There are too many people to name, but I have the people that I've already named, and people like Brian Drums as well. He does good drum covers on YouTube. I'm on the spot now trying to think. I can't. My mind has drawn a blank on that. But yeah, everybody that I've interacted with, everybody who's came to watch my videos, everybody's left me positive feedback. Thank you so much. It just makes me want to make more. Just motivates me to make more, because otherwise, there's nothing worse than uploading something and then nobody watches it, nobody responds, or you know what I mean, it falls into the black hole of never gets a view again. You know, I think I've been pretty lucky, so I'm very grateful that people are enjoying and listening. So yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, that's pretty much that.
Somebody seems a little happy out there, jumping around, making all the racket and stuff.
Yeah, what happens is, because it's like 9 o'clock now, he knows he needs to go to bed soon. So what he's doing is he's suddenly having a burst of energy. So that'll be the younger one. Yeah, it's getting to that time. Usually they start jumping about because they've got too much energy, and they go to their beds and don't go to sleep. They just lie there staring, telling us to turn the TV down and stuff.
All right. Just real quick for the audience sake, can you just list what social media and I don't know if it's just Spotify, or I guess are you on any other streaming platforms with your music?
No, it's just I just focus on this one. It's like that was another reason. I was like, I don't want to have too many accounts that I lose track of. I had a Twitter account when it was Twitter, and I deactivated it quite a long time ago. I don't know if I can reactivate that. Probably I could. So maybe we'll see about that. But yeah, the only place right now would be YouTube. The Spotify stuff, it's not under the same name, but these tracks will be used at some point on this channel, so it's all fine. So really just stick with this channel.
All right, sounds good. And to close like this, everyone, my guest today was Des Brown, aka Des, RunDMKilla. I almost said DMK, sorry. RunDMKilla. So, he's a drummer. He's also doing his own little stuff here with the turntable and everything here, too. These guys know what he's doing there, too. So, give another shout out to another fellow Scot. Another guy out of Scotland there. Edinburgh, to be more exact. So,
yeah.
Go hit him on all socials. Just the one streaming platform. He's not on all the other ones, even though, just between you and me, there is DistroKid that will get you on all other streaming platforms if you ever want to use that. But I'll leave it up to your discretion.
Yeah. I did use DistroKid to release the stuff that I have on Spotify. But like I'm saying, that's like it's kind of like I want to bring those tracks to what I'm doing now, because it's like I'm saying, it's under a different name, so just this one's fine.
All right. Well, nonetheless, Des, thank you so much again for what you do there, mate, and good luck this year. I guess whatever shows you ever got, but I guess just real quick, are you going to any other shows this year?
Yeah, I've got an offer to do one at a private function in April the 4th. So we'll see how that goes. I've not got the exact details of it yet. It is in Glasgow, but we'll see. It's with somebody else as well. But we'll just see how that goes.
All right, sounds good. But Des, nonetheless, you stay safe, because you know it's a pretty messed up world out there, so stay safe. Rock on. And a quick pose. Stay tuned, y'all.
Well trained, my young apprentice. They will be no match for you.
never look my way. I'm looking down your darling in every single way. Your funny flow is foreign and the green card's on the way. You think I should do with shampoo, but watch your head and shoulder. Brother older, bold enough to fold you, yo, I told ya. Afraid of what I made and played and plus the funky bit, so say you flipped and tripped for that music in the monkey bit. Triggers from the Grove Town, Ill Town, so that's how it feels now. The deal is that we real, so we still round. Don't laugh with a freestyle phantom, ain't trying to be handsome. Shrinking what you're thinking, cause I'm vamping. I live and die for hip-hop, this is hip-hop for today. I get props to hip-hop, so hip-hop put it in my physical. I can't express through song, delete stress like Mo Trend and extend strong. I drink the wet with Medusa, give us shotguns in hell. From the split that I lift and inhale, it ain't hard to tell.